Trinity, prolific, dynamic activist, and from Public Enemy.
Thank you, and I'd like to say I appreciate it, and the food was delicious. Food was delicious. It was almost put me to sleep type food. I'll make sure I'm peppy and energized tonight. So it's a pleasure being down in San Antonio and those Spurs, right? Any questions? Tonight I'm glad I could get here. A couple of weeks ago, I know Joe had the great big snowstorm that took place down here. So they're talking about weather in New York and Atlanta being on the shady side. Maybe I'll stay in the nice confines of SATX for a little bit longer than I expected. But I'll take any questions.
Chip, let me ask you, I'm James Keith with Fox 29 here.
Hello, James.
Doing all right here today? Okay. Wanted to ask you first off, what is it that you want these kids to take away from your message?
Well, I'm here basically talking about Dr. King and the embodiment of Dr. King and how, although we're getting further away from the time of civil rights in 1965 or the assassination of Dr. King in 1968, we shouldn't get far from the fact of what he stood for, what that time stood for, and what that movement and that mission of people stood for at that time to be able to bring the synonymous race of the human race into one. And that was what the civil rights struggle was about. And demanding the right to be accepted and to be asking the country to be as civil as possible and allowing everybody's diversity to be welcomed and looked upon as equal.
You've been said to be somebody who's kind of redefined rap music, from the 80s and whatnot. What was your motivation, and what has been your motivation to kind of be that activist, to kind of be the promoter in the music?
Our motivation initially was being able to grow up in the 60s during that turbulent time, energetic time. I have Negro on my birth certificate, and by 1965, I noticed my family was being considered colored for a couple of years, and then by the end of the decade, we was black and beautiful. So your first 10 years of your life, and you've gone through 3 identity changes as far as how you're looked upon, had a profound effect on me in the later years. In 1987, the minute I got a passport in October of 1987 allowed me to see the whole rest of the world and really, really seriously getting into the dialogue of the rest of the planet and the different places and the struggles and talking to people. And that's been the energy for the last 20 years. And Public Enemy has gone into our 20th year, and it's a great milestone. As far as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is concerned, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 were inducted along with other rock dignitaries, so it shows that the music is not just a novelty, but it has long-term stature and great resonance as far as making change in society, as much as they talk about Bob Dylan and all those other people.
I have a quick question. I'm Charity McCurdy with WOAI Radio.
Hey, Sherry.
How you doing? It's Charity.
Charity.
It's hard. I know people mess it up all
I
the
just said
time.
my bad.
Don't worry. Generally speaking, rap music today, do you think it's communicating a positive message?
Rock music or rap?
Rap.
Well, we can say both. Yes. The thing about it is that how much, attention is major media going to pay attention to all the artists that happen to have something to say. We're in the MySpace YouTube generation, and there's a lot of artists doing their thing. Now, if you continue to say that the artists should be weighed by their quantity as opposed to their quality, you're bound to have some side effect point of view that's going to say that this music is synonymous with that problem. But there's so many artists that are able to do it. Technology has allowed a lot of artists to become rappers and singers, and we shouldn't just hold art into being this thing that pops up every once or maybe 3 times a week called American Idol, which I just think is it's just a cheap way of looking at the music industry. There's a lot of artists doing their thing. San Antonio, over the last 20 years, has had plenty of rap artists. the state of Texas has a lot of rap artists. And now people can record in their bedrooms and email songs. So if the industry and the media tries to say that the only ones that they're going to count is those that happen to get on TV under big budgets of corporations, then I got to go beyond that. You know, I go to many countries, and in every country there's at least 100 rap artists that have some kind of prominence in their country, and they're not weighed by how much they sell. They're weighed by exactly how much they resonate with the people.
Let me ask you about lyrics specifically. What about the use of racial slurs, profanity? Is that really communicating a positive message? And what do you think Martin Luther King today would, if he could hear rap music today, what do you think he would think?
Well, Dr. King probably would say there's not rappers out there that had the type of voice he had. So when you talk about lyrics go back, when you talk about music, lyrics go back into being debated to the beginning of time. I think there is a lyrical accountability and responsibility if you're going to actually communicate to the masses. Not everything is made for certain ages. The radio stations, if they say they're going to put music on the air and make it palatable for everybody, then they should also watch some of the messages in it, because they know that there's a lot of 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds listening to it. But to make a long story short, rap music was also born out of black music, where it was code music, where it was things that blacks as slaves could not say to the slave master that we happen to get across in the music. The big difference is that although we was singing and humming, that the whip stopped cracking over our back, we was at least looking out for each other. So black music was always love music for one another. It was always lookout music. Look out for the slave owner, this quote-unquote cracker that might crack the whip on my back, and it was sung and hymned across so they wouldn't find out, so it was a code. Over the last 10 to 15 years, it's been found to be very beneficial and very profitable for corporations to have this code reversed to the point that within black on black or minority within minority, it has been almost very profitable to be exploited as hate music upon each other. So I don't blame young people, I don't blame rappers, I don't blame soldiers for going off to fight the war. I blame the village idiot at the top in that regard. I blame corporation presidents and executives that go off to highfalutin societies in their communities and let the struggles in the communities and the ghettos just be, or in the hood, and the murder go on, and allow the prison industrial complex to get wider and fatter and come up with all kinds of jargon and excuses politically. And I blame parents, of course, or I wouldn't say just parents. You can't blame anybody 18 and younger for anything. But there's a large missing element of responsibility between 30 and 50 that this country has never really experienced before. There's all this 20, 30's the new 20 and 40's the new 30 and 50 the new 40 is just another way to find out how to infantile society. No, 28 is 28. Really, seriously. The minute that you see somebody 35 and they got a PlayStation and that's all they do, there's an inherent problem there. And corporations are happy because they say, if a person is kind of like wants to be young all the time, you can sell them anything. And business wants to be able to turn human beings into consumers. And that's what consumers do. They follow robotically and programmed to something and want to hang on to it to hope that their life is better. So you want to be able to give young people the tools, / you want to give them the guards to be able to fight off everything that's going to be coming for their mind, bodies, and souls as adults. And music used to be one of these things that actually gave younger people the tools to understand society beyond themselves, not exploit them. So we could look and see more balance and diversity in the sounds of music, just like the sounds of